Am I audible, Miss?
Yes.
Sure, Miss, I am audible.
Yes. Let me inform the participants that we are going to record. We are recording this session. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar series organized by IQAC and various departments of Marthama College for Women, Perumbavoor. Thank you all for joining us today. I am Avani, Faculty Department of Commerce, Marthama College for Women, Perumbavoor. This is the fourth webinar organized by our college. Today's webinar topic is post-COVID-19 business environment challenges and opportunities. And the resource person for today's session is Dr. Justin Paul, Editor-in-Chief of International Journal of Consumer Studies. He is an eminent academician from the United States of America. Let us start the session with a 1-minute silent prayer. Okay, thank you. May I invite Mrs. Sharanti Abraham, Head Department of Commerce, to deliver the welcome address.
Hello, everyone. Greetings here from Marthama College for Women, Perumbavoor. I hope I am audible. Hello, everyone. I'm not
audible,
Thank you. Good morning or good evening, because I respect the time zones from everywhere. Hello again. COVID-19 has been one of the most devastating health catastrophe in recent times. BBC reports it is continuing its spread across the world with more than 6.7 million confirmed cases in 188 countries, and nearly 4 lakh people have lost their lives. A series of studies is happening on the impact of this pandemic on businesses around the world ever since in China in December last year. Which types of businesses will survive, which will suffer, effect on stock market, supply chain, etc. We too organized the seminar to throw some light on how the pressing question today on how global business scenario will look like post-COVID-19. With great privilege and gratitude, I'm honored to welcome the resource person of the day, Dr. Justin Paul, Chief Editor, International Journal of Consumer Studies, and Professor, University of Puerto Rico, San Juan, USA, who consented to talk on the topic post-COVID-19 business environment and opportunities. His credentials tell us that he's a great academician. Convener Avani T will be giving a brief introduction about the chief guest after my message. On behalf of all the participants, I welcome you, sir. This international webinar has become meaningful with the participation from different parts of the world and from different states of India. With utmost respect, I welcome each and every participant to this webinar. This webinar would not be possible without the effort of the team behind this. I take this opportunity to welcome our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Anubama P., and the members of the Department of Commerce, Marthama College for Women, Sujo Mary Varghese, Jibin Shibu Sam, Seren Anna Sam, and Avani T. Also, I welcome Rijo and Varghese, software engineer, Tata Consultancy Services Trivandrum, who is rendering the needed support for this webinar. I conclude by welcoming each one of you once again, and I hand over the floor to Srimati Avani T to make an introduction about our Chief Resource Person. Thank you. Avani, over to you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sharon Miss. Let me introduce the resource person of the day, Dr. Justin Paul. Dr. Justin Paul currently serves as editor-in-chief of International Journal of Consumer Studies and as a professor in the PhD and MBA programs at the University of Puerto Rico, San Juan, USA. He is a former faculty member of University of Washington. He is well known as an author and co-author of many books like Business Environment, International Marketing, Management of Banking and Financial Services, Export-Import Management, etc. Dr. Cole is also known for developing and introducing mass stage model and mass stage theory for marketing, CPP model for internationalization of firms, 7P framework for performance and international marketing, and SCOPE framework for success of MSMEs. He is an author for more than 50 articles. He is a very respectable personality, and it is really an honor to have you, sir, today as a resource person. Next, may I hand over the mic to Dr. Anupama P., IQAC coordinator, for her remarks. Anupama, miss.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Ms. Avani. Thank you.
Thank
Am
you.
I audible?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
Continue.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Our college, Marthama College for Women, Perimpower, is organizing a webinar series. The college is affiliated to Mahatma Gandhi University and re-accredited by NAC in 2017. We are organizing a series of webinars, successfully conducted 3 webinars, and this is the 4th one which we are conducting. And this webinar is hosted by the Department of Commerce. I really appreciate the efforts taken by the faculty members of the Department of Commerce for organizing this event. Last few days, they were really busy in making this event a successful. So from registration till the certificate, they are preparing very well. I came to know that there are several participants, more than 100 participants, that also research scholars, faculty members, not only from Kerala, from the participant list, it is visible all over India, participants or faculty members are joining. I know very well that you all are eagerly waiting to hear from Dr. Justin Paul, who is our resource person today. Mrs. Avani introduced him. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation. And also, we are so lucky to have you, sir, for our webinar today. I wish all the success for this webinar and welcoming you all once again. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Mrs. Avani.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Anupama. The session is about to start. Before that, let me give a gentle reminder that question answer session is arranged at the middle and also at the end of the session. The entire session will be recorded for the documentation purpose also. I request all for your kind cooperation throughout the webinar. So let me invite Dr. Justin Paul to handle the session on post-COVID-19 business environment challenges and opportunities.
Thank
Justin
you.
Paul, sir. Okay, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Avani and Dr. Sherin and Dr. Anubama for this invitation and nice introduction. It's my pleasure to share my thoughts on business environment in the post-COVID time period. So let me try to brief you about what I have done relating to business environment, and then try to link with what is needed for us to learn more about the likely business environment and likely challenges and opportunities that we are all going to face. And I'll share my PowerPoint in a minute time. 2004, it was 2004. It is 16 years ago when I joined IIM in Institute of Management as a faculty member. I started thinking about business environment at that time. At that time, globalization was gathering momentum, and I spent a lot of time to write a book titled Business Environment, which was published by McGraw-Hill. And the very first year, 10,000 copies of that book got sold. Now the book is into fourth edition. However, I have a feeling that whatever is there in that book now need to be rewritten because of COVID-19 and coronavirus. Coronavirus and COVID-19 is likely to, or is actually already, is revolutionizing the way people are doing business or people are going to do business in the days to come. It is going to have an effect like a world war. Suppose if there is a world war will have a lot of implications or repercussions, impact on different industries, the way people live. So coronavirus and COVID-19 has actually created negative impact for many, many, many industries and some positive impact for some technology-oriented industries. So we have to rethink and we have to redesign our business plan, and we have to discuss and deliberate how the situation is going to emerge and how everything is going to change in the days to come. So my book survived for 16 years, but my book will survive and succeed only if I rewrite in the post-COVID context in the days to come. Otherwise, people will think that whatever is there in books titled Business Environment, pre-COVID time business environment, post-COVID time business environment is completely going to be changed and it's going to be different. So with this introduction, let me try to share my thoughts, what I have articulated with the help of my PowerPoint, and then we can have some questions and answers. I would be happy to take up your questions in the middle of the session as well as towards the end of the session as well. So we were all talking about globalization, privatization, liberalization. Business environment for us was centered around those three LPG reforms. LPG stands for liberalization, privatization, and globalization. But business environment, what is to be taught in post-COVID time is not going to be just about liberalization, privatization, and globalization. It is going to be different. We have to look at how it is going to change, and what kind of changes we are already witnessing or experiencing in different countries. So it's important to compare different countries. It's important to look at what has happened during last 3 months lockdown time all over the world, and what is likely to happen next 6 months, and what is likely to happen next 6 years. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. A company, let's look at the basic fundamental aspect of how a company can survive and succeed. Company need to achieve competitiveness. All companies need to think about their growth path. They all need to have competitiveness. There is a competition, and competition has intensified across the industries and across the countries during last 10 or 20 years because of globalization. So the way we were all doing business, the way we were all living or teaching or in real life businesses, they were all competing with multinational companies. So we have to ask what extent multinational companies will survive or succeed in post-COVID time. So in any case, whether you talk about SME, small and medium enterprises, or multinational enterprises, M&E, so regardless of what kind of structure or what kind of type of company, all kind of companies need to achieve competitiveness as part of their survival and success strategy. Global economy is expected to shrink by 10% overall next year. Or if you actually look at this financial year, so from April to March 2020 to 2021, there are forecasts that is expected forecast or forecast that the global economy is expected to shrink by 10%. That means many countries will witness negative growth rates, and some countries will witness 1% or 2% growth rates. So we're going to see an unprecedented negative growth rates or minimum growth rates in most countries in the world. So, overall impact is likely to be 10% decline or shrinking the global economy. If you look at American economy, millions have filed for unemployment benefits in the US. Why millions have filed unemployment applications in the United States? Because they find that their jobs, a lot of them, thousands of them have already been laid off. A lot of them are in the process of getting laid off. So they are going to lose their jobs. So they apply for unemployment benefits in advance, expecting that they are going to lose their job. And this is increasing daily basis in America. And all over the world, if you actually look at, thousands of people have been laid off. In India, so many people are likely to be laid off in the days to come, because now it is lockdown time. Many companies are delaying their decision to terminate or suspend employees, but this is going to happen. And what kind of industries are worst hit? Most of us, those who read newspapers, watch television news related to the business news relating to COVID-19, we all have some idea that the labor-intensive industries are worst hit. So I have no doubt that the labor-intensive industries will face more challenges than technology-intensive industries in the post-COVID 5-year time or next 5-year time. COVID, some companies will introduce or they will develop vaccine, and once vaccine is available, so we don't need to really worry about COVID. So it might take 3 or 4 more months for vaccine to be available. Once vaccine is available, so that month onwards, it will be post-COVID time. So we can foresee that all the labor-intensive industries will face more challenges during the next 3 years or during the next 5 years, or currently they are facing challenges. COVID-19 has made companies search for opportunities necessary in order to survive. Companies need to search for opportunities in different markets. They need to diversify their destinations. They need to think about more product lines. They need to think about their survival based on product diversification, market destinations, and so on. So it is important, otherwise they will die. We all know that people will die. Many people die at age 70 or 75. Some people die at 60, 65, 50, 55. So COVID-19 has also created a kind of panic situation in which we have already seen that many enterprises are on the way to die. Like people are dying, companies are also dying. Means I'm using a word called dying, but I can also say that companies are going bankrupt. Maybe in a technical, the most appropriate technical term could be bankruptcy, but it is nothing but death of the company. There has been setback on transactions taking place in the recent months. A lot of companies are reporting less amount of business in the recent months. Challenges for small and medium enterprises, post-COVID challenges. If you actually look at post-COVID challenges of small and medium enterprises, they face survival threat, or they will face survival threats and challenges, because they are currently going through tough time. Their income is affected. Many of them are running their businesses without many clients. A lot of their clients are backing out, or lot of they don't have any business, or they have some business. So in any case, most of the SMEs, small and medium enterprises, they are running short of businesses or running short of cash. You can say running short of capital. They face resource constraints these days. They are unable to pay the salaries of their employees. They have tough time. And in case if they have borrowed money from bank, they're unable to pay back to the bank. This is a serious challenge for small and medium scale enterprises because they are not cash rich. And some small and medium enterprises have already shut down their business operations in different countries, or some of them are on the way to shut down eventually. There are more challenges for marketing managers in the post-COVID time as well, because marketing is also going to change, or the way people are, people were doing marketing will change in the post-COVID time. So traditional marketing will change towards digital marketing. For example, there was something called multi-level marketing. People used to go home to home for delivery and those kind of things, or home to home for not only for delivery, for sales, like Amway model, Herbalife model. That Amway model and Herbalife model will not survive in the post-COVID time. In the post-COVID time, you need to have online businesses. You need to have online portals. You need to have, even during the crisis time, even during this recessionary time or post-COVID or current phase of COVID time, you need to have many people are these days buying products, whatever they need, using e-commerce portals. So companies or small enterprises, those who do not have e-commerce presence, need to have e-commerce presence as part of their survival strategy. Otherwise, they will not survive. Otherwise, it is high time for them to get into e-commerce business. It is high time for them to have their own internet channel to sell. Plus, they need to also think about other channels to get listed and sell through other e-commerce channels as well. Many companies have to rethink their strategies. Even strategic management as a subject needs repositioning, rethinking, and redesigning. It is not going to work. All theories that we have learned during last 50 years, all the theories that developed by many authors last 40 years or 30 years, some of them will not work in the post-COVID time. Some of them will still work. Some of them will not work because the tenets of those theories need to be tested scientifically with the post-COVID dimensions and with the business environment in the post-COVID time, so that we need to integrate what is going on. We need to integrate some technology-based construction, some constructs or variables and those kind of things, in order to make sure that all the strategic management will work in the post-COVID time or not. But in any case, whether it works or not, in real life, companies have to rethink their strategies. They have to look at organic versus inorganic strategies in nutshell, and compare and contrast and compete with their competitors. It is important. And I am also introducing a formula with 7 Ps. So it is called a 7P framework for companies to survive and succeed in the post-COVID-19 period. So I will talk about that a bit later. Impact of COVID-19, social distancing. I live in America and I have locked down for last 3 months. And it was tough. And I was going around some supermarkets or some places where some organic food is sold. And everywhere, wherever I go, they have a sign, social distancing. They have a mark, like every 6 feet. People are supposed to stand 6 feet away from other people. So this is a challenge, social distancing. How do you maintain social distancing in populous countries like India or China? In India, it's a big challenge to maintain social distance because of 1.2 billion people. India is the second largest populous country in the world. And in China, it is also a big challenge to maintain social distancing. Even in America, people have hard time to maintain social distancing. So this leads to increasing importance for online transactions. Social distancing indirectly lead to, directly or indirectly, on both ways lead to increase in online transactions. For example, iCloud businesses are increasing. Just an example. Likewise, nobody knew the Zoom. Zoom was an unknown company before COVID. So now look at how much business Zoom is making, so whom Zoom is getting. So likewise, a lot of online transactions, a lot of online businesses. There is a boom in online transaction. There's a boom in all kinds of digital businesses these days. That's an opportunity for companies, those who can do some businesses focusing on online transaction. They have more opportunities. COVID-19 has created challenges for many companies. On the other hand, COVID-19 has also created opportunities for companies, those who can do businesses using online channels and leveraging the opportunities arising out of online transactions. My cousin worked with a company called NVIDIA. It's an American company and he's in Silicon Valley. Yesterday, he told me that his company has already given bonus to the employees because they have a lot of businesses in gaming and online businesses. So there are some companies, those who focus on online businesses are winners because of this COVID-19 as well. So the right time entering into online businesses, in case if companies haven't done that, they should not be late to do that, so that they can survive and succeed, because customers prefer online purchase these days. Yeah, an impact on marketing. Yeah. So I missed one. Yeah. So before I go on to impact on marketing, let me also try to give you some perspectives about businesses in hospitality industries. What is happening in hospitality industries and what will happen in hospitality industry? Almost all businesses in travel and tourism sector will incur huge loss next 2 years. Why? Because tourists will not take risk of traveling long distances just for sightseeing, because traveling in an airline exposes them to risk. Somebody will sneeze, somebody will cough, somebody will create those kind of risk. So this means many people will not take the risk of traveling. So they will travel only for essential, in case if it is important to travel, they will do it, otherwise they will not. So this means less business for travel agencies and less business for hotels, less business for restaurants located in touristic areas and hotels in tourist locations and so on. I live in a town next to the beach, so right across the beach. It's the most touristic beach, so my apartment here where I work is next to the beach, and it's one of the most touristic location, and one of the most beautiful beaches in the world is here. And I find that a lot of restaurants around this area in my location, they have closed down now permanently because they were under lockdown for more than 2 months. And after 2.5 months lockdown, they found it difficult, including a very famous Hard Rock Cafe. Hard Rock Cafe is a very famous branded restaurant cum bar. It's Hard Rock Cafe. Its name is Hard Rock Cafe, but it is a famous bar chain in America. So right across my apartment, there is a Hard Rock Cafe. And Hard Rock Cafe, very, very famous Hard Rock Cafe, has shut down their businesses. They have not yet opened after the lockdown. So actually in my place, lockdown is withdrawn. So 2-3 weeks ago, government announced that every restaurant can open. So now everything is okay. Everything is normal now. But many restaurants, including Hard Rock Cafe, they have decided not to open. They have decided to close down because they ran short of business for 2-3 months. And even if they are opening now, they will not get enough business. They cannot pay their employees. There are a lot of challenges like that. So they have decided to shut down their business at least for 6 months. They will not open now. And only very few restaurants are open, even though government has given permissions and so on, because otherwise they cannot pay their salary to their employees without much businesses. You need business to pay for your salary. Otherwise, if you don't have clients, clients are abstaining to go to restaurants. There are no tourists these days, and there won't be tourists for next 1 or 2 years. So this is forecasted, tourist arrivals in all touristic cities. Tourists are not going to be there. So this is going to create problems for all allied businesses in tourist locations. You have to understand the direct and allied impact of COVID-19. Let me now talk about impact on marketing. Many companies used to follow what is called as exclusive distribution strategy for marketing. That means they were having control on distributing their products. And these days, so post-COVID marketing scenario, companies might need to think about intensive or selective distribution channel strategy. I would say that exclusive distribution is almost dead because people will not be happy with just exclusive distribution. So you might need to think about either intensive or selective distribution channel strategy. Next point is brands versus non-branded products. Customers, many people these days, they think about savings. They think about saving money for their future because they are not sure about their future. So many customers would not prefer to pay for premium brands because premium brands are expensive. Many customers would like to have everything for 5 rupees or $5. Or many customers would like to have everything for $50 or 100 rupees. So this simply means premium brand managers, luxury industry will suffer, no doubt. Premium brands, even the managers of premium brands will have tough time to sell their products. They need to think about some strategies like mastery strategy and all to sell to the customers. Otherwise, they will have tough time. Brand managers will have tough time for next 2 years, no doubt. And another example which I would like to cite is newspapers. Newspapers or any kind of media relying upon income from advertisements will have tough time. Media industries relying upon income from advertisement will have tough time because majority of their clients will not spend money for advertisement in the next 2 years. Companies will cut short advertisement budgets. Almost all newspapers will face challenge. They might even end up increasing the price for subscribers because they will not get advertisements. They are cash rich now because they get advertisements. Most companies will cut short their budget for advertisement, no doubt. Challenges and opportunities. What kind of opportunity and what kind of challenges? You might have heard about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will get more importance. Even some medium-scale enterprises or even small-scale enterprises might think about artificial intelligence. For example, robots. Robots will get more importance in the post-COVID time. It used to be big companies like Toyota. Like I lived in Japan for 3 years. When I lived in Japan, I went to Toyota factory and Toyota used robots to manufacture cars. Robot will pick up nuts and bolts from one machine and fit in another machine, and car components are made with robots in an efficient way as part of Toyota production system. This is much more efficient than human beings. So many company owners, many entrepreneurs would prefer such kind of artificial intelligence. This is another change that we are likely to see in the post-COVID time. And next point, moving on to next point, food availability and security likely to be an issue for next 1 year. Yeah, so you may not get all kind of food that you think that you need in your place. Sometimes it can be challenged. Even its security, its quality can be challenged. You might need to take care of cleaning all the food that you buy from market because of COVID scare. It's important. And next point, hourly wage rate system will get more importance. Many companies used to hire employees with a permanent contract with a probationary period. Instead of hiring people with a permanent job offer with a probationary period, now a lot of companies will move on to hourly wage rate system. Hourly wage rate system has been prevailing in developed countries like America or Europe or Japan for a long time. It's not common in countries like India. Countries like India also will see that many companies will move on to hourly wage rate system. And the most important development that we are going to see in the post-COVID time, what COVID-19 will, or COVID-19 has created that kind of change is division of the world into two diplomatic teams under the leadership of US on one side and under the leadership of China on the other side. This will be like two teams playing cricket or football. India will be with US, Pakistan will be with China. There will be many countries like Australia with US, UK will be with US. On the other hand, there will be some countries aligned with China. And these diplomatic teams will try to compete or fight for several reasons. They will impose restrictions each other for international trade. They will try to come out with some restrictions on travel of citizens from other countries. This is going to create a bipolar issue in the world. US has announced certain restrictions on China already. US has already announced that. We will see that. So before I move on to my next slide, I would prefer to give you some time, or I would prefer to give you an opportunity for questions and answers, and I would be happy to answer now. Yeah.
Yeah, and good evening, Professor Justin Paul. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Professor, my good name is Dr. Mithun Nandi, and I'm calling from Kolkata, West Bengal State. Now, from the point of view of the marketing researchers, what are some of the areas, sir, you have already discussed in a detailed manner. So, what type of research work as a marketing researcher should pursue? Whether it should be descriptive or empirical. If you can just focus on this part.
I think you are asking a question which is not related to today's topic, but I would encourage you to send me an email, profjust@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer. I think you are asking this question because I serve as chief editor of the journal. So journals, I can briefly answer. Journals always look for papers that last forever. That means you need to have some theoretical flavor, generalization flavor in your paper so that the journals will consider your paper. Don't try to send a paper that get outdated in next 2 years to a journal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir. You have been telling about two diplomatic teams. The world will be divided under two diplomatic teams, US and China. I'm wondering whether is it like two diplomatic team, or will it be like a multipolar world? Like many countries are emerging to occupy the space left by China. So there have been certain discussions that there could be a multipolar world also.
Multipolar world will not work to that extent. So it is likely to be, two diplomatic teams in my view. So there could be some countries maybe taking some neutral position, but countries taking neutral position, I'm not sure that you can call it as multipolar. But by and large, it will be two important teams or two diplomatic teams.
Like emerging economies, will they become more powerful in the post-COVID world, sir?
Emerging economies is a very, very broad term. So, because there are many countries under emerging economy status. So you cannot say that each and every emerging economy will be powerful. But you have to also understand that the US is the most powerful country at the moment, and China is the most second powerful country in the world. So these two, they want to dominate the world, and they have taken a lot of steps all over the world, or they have advanced with many diplomatic strategies during last 20 years or last 50 years to control the world. And they have their own allies as well. And emerging countries, China is an emerging country, India is an emerging country, and there are several other emerging countries. Turkey is an emerging country, but you cannot say that all emerging countries will have much better opportunities. So some countries will win, some countries will have tough time also.
Good evening, sir. This is Nisha Thomas here. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Sir, I wanted to ask you, you have correctly pointed out that COVID-19 has disrupted business environment. As far as India is concerned, I think that India has the positive thing that it has got domestic demand. However, before this COVID-19 happened, the demand fell down. And this COVID-19 has aggravated that fall in demand. So I needed to know your opinion. All the packages which the government of India has introduced, it's primarily focusing on supply side and not on demand side. Do you think that is going in the right direction? If not, what are the steps that we can do to revive demand?
Yeah, so this is a debatable question. So because you cannot have one single word or one single sentence answer, but it is a very important point for discussion. So there is no doubt, I agree with you that India has a big domestic market where demand can be high. So because it is a growing economy with 1.23 billion people, and is second most populous country in the world. That the domestic market itself is huge. India can survive with domestic market. The only problem is that India is an overpopulated country like China. So with the overpopulation, India cannot be champions just by focusing on domestic market. India can survive, but India cannot be a role model country just by focusing on domestic markets. So the domestic market demand, Indian companies can survive just by doing business based on domestic demand. But if Indian companies will have to be successful, like Japanese companies or Korean companies, if you look at Japanese companies' success, secret of success of Japanese companies, they had a catch-up strategy after the, after 1940s, after the bomb attacks in Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and all, even Tokyo was destroyed. After that, Japanese government, under the leadership of Japanese government, Japanese companies worked very, very hard with the catch-up strategy called sell to the strangers. And they pioneered, and they took all the initiative to produce and sell all over the world. And they succeeded. If you look at the streets of America, if you look at the streets of Europe or Australia, you see Japanese cars and many Japanese cars. And China followed. Korea was the second one to follow Japanese strategy. And Korea and came China. And China set up Chinese towns, or what is called Chinese towns everywhere, all over the world. South of US, there is a country called Dominican Republic. Once I went to Santo Domingo in Dominican Republic. Even there, I found Chinese town. So Chinese towns are in every country in the world. They do it with the intention to sell Chinese-made products. So what I'm trying to say, India can survive, or Indian companies can survive and earn their basic requirement of, or basic like minimum bread and butter based on domestic demand or based on domestic sales. But if they have to be really, really successful, if India has to be a developed country, then they need international sales also. I'll tell you the story of Korea. South Korea was classified as a developing country 20 years ago. But South Korea's official classification changed as a developed country according to IMF and World Bank, because South Korean companies, earned a lot of revenue from international sales. South Korean companies focused on exports, product exports, produce exports, and international success. That resulted into even changing the status of South Korea from developing country to developed country. The same story goes with Taiwan. Taiwan was also a developing country. So India's success of India requires international success. Otherwise, India can survive, Indians can survive, but Indians cannot succeed. There's a difference between survival and success.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your response.
Hi, sir. This is Dr. Ashima. Hello. Yeah, this is Dr. Ashima. I would like to ask one query. Like when we talk about post-COVID, right? So what kind of situation will there be in the education sector, and how we are going to actually make it sustainable?
Yeah, I think education sector, I have it in my next slide, so I will try to link with that. So you have any other question? I will come to your point, because I have that point in this slide. Yeah. Any
Okay.
other question?
And apart from it, that how do you think so that we are going to work on the entertainment or event industry then?
Yeah, so entertainment events where people are going to meet together. So this is also going to be a challenge, like movie theaters. Many people will not go to watch movie in a movie theater because it's a closed auditorium. So those kind of people are scared now. So at least for 1 or 2 years, people will abstain from such things. So such industries are going to be badly hit. Okay, so now let me try to go ahead and finish my presentation, and then we can take up some more questions. So new challenges. Hospitality industries are badly hit and will face serious problem during next 2 years. And even students, those who want to study hotel management and hospitality, they will not study hotel management now, because even if they study, they will not get a job. Hotels, restaurant, airlines, tourist location-based small businesses, etc., will run short of business or will run out of businesses. And movie theater will not get people to go inside. Even education institutions face challenge all over the world because of social distancing guidelines. But social distancing guidelines are likely to be withdrawn once COVID-19 vaccine comes, so companies make vaccine available. It will take 6 more months. So once vaccine is available, governments will withdraw social distancing guidelines. So I would expect that by December, government will withdraw the social distancing guidelines, and everything will be normal, vaccine will be available. So educational institutions will not face challenges from 2021 onwards, but 2020 next semester is a challenge for education institutions as well. And this is a case study, 4 or 5 months. Yeah, so for example, one of my neighbor is a Chinese restaurant owner in my location. And this Chinese family runs a Chinese restaurant in my location. And they do not own the property where they run their restaurant. They have to pay $2,800 per month rent to landlord. And they did not have any business for last 2.5 or 3 months. And they could not pay rent because it's almost $10,000 rent for 3 months. If they have no business, how do they pay $10,000 rent? So landlord terminated the agreement, the lease agreement of property to run the restaurant. So, and landlord had taken loan from the bank. When landlord, so many landlords buy property taking loan. So landlord could not pay back loan to the bank. And restaurant owner will have to close down business. So, and it has aftermath. Landlord is facing problem, restaurant owner is facing problem, bank will face problem, problems. Similarly, many hotels, there are many 4-star and 5-star hotels in my area where I live. All of them, I go for my morning walk, my morning jogging. I see all these hotels. They just have buildings, no people these days, no tourists, no business travelers. So they all have no businesses, all these star hotels, including Marriott and all, they don't have business. And similarly, even in education sector, what I find is that in America, academic institutions, there is a journal called Chronicle of Higher Education. There are several articles about education sector in Chronicle of Higher Education. It's a publication from America. And there are a lot of discussion about what academic institutions will do next 2 years to next 3 years. So many of them, many experts feel that academic institutions like universities and colleges will not hire new professors with permanent job offer for next 2 or 3 years. Instead, they will hire part-time teachers and will pay them on an hourly basis or will pay them on course basis. So this is because academic institutions are also not sure how many students will join for their courses and so on, whether they can have international students. If international students do not come, they will also face problems because many academic institutions in countries like America or UK or Australia rely upon international students. Their target customers are international students from many foreign countries. This is also going to be a challenge. Yeah, and I would like to offer a framework for preparing business plan for companies, those who like to reposition and rethink about their strategies to survive and succeed in the post-COVID era. And this business plan and this formula, what I prescribe, is based on an article I published in Journal of Strategic Marketing. It was published last year, titled Toward a 7P Framework. However, I find that these 7P constructs are going to be more useful in the post-COVID time. I published this before the COVID, but still I feel that it is going to be more useful for business plan preparation for companies in the post-COVID time. The formula here is performance is equal to, performance is a function of potential, path, process, pace, pattern, and problems. So companies need to understand that performance, they can perform better if they prepare business plan grounded in market potential, path of the company. Path means companies need to understand strategies and funds, resources, and so on, process, pace, pattern, and problems. I give you an explanation of this in next 2-3 minutes, and then I can take up questions and answers. More questions and then answer. So, yeah, potential. I said performance is a function of other 6 P's. Performance is a function of potential, path, process, problems, pattern, and so on. Potential, what is potential? Potential refers to opportunities. You should be in a position to estimate market potential for your products and which markets. For example, if you have a company based in Kerala, you should be in a position to estimate market potential in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, New Delhi, Bombay, Gujarat, or London, or France, or Spain, or Japan, or China. So market potential identification and estimation of market potential is important and critical. And decide which market to enter. And path. Path refers to strategy, fund sources, and type of companies. So companies from developing countries particularly need to analyze and prepare strategic business plan to survive in the post-COVID time, looking at path which is grounded in strategies. And they should also have a business plan based on backup plan based on resources. What resources can be used and backup plan. You need to have a backup plan. Otherwise, you will have challenge. Processes that a company follows. Organic versus inorganic processes. Some companies expand their own by opening their own branches. Some companies expand through inorganic process, which include franchising, which include acquisitions and so on. So you have to decide what is your preference and how do you formulate these processes into your business plan. That is important for survival and success in the post-COVID time. And the next P is pace. Pace is nothing but speed. Speed at which company expands, speed at which company operates. And the factors, certain factors determine this. Technology, competition, perception of entrepreneurs, forces of knowledge and network. Technology is important. You need to be tech-oriented in the days to survive. It is very important. Pattern relate to what and where. What product or service is to be sold and where it can be sold. You need to really look at this, explore this, and then plan this. It has to be integrated in your business plan or marketing plan to survive and succeed. Problems, what kind of problems you might face? Suppose if you are a small company, you might face problems like cognitive bias and liability of foreigners, resource constraints. Even multinational companies from developing countries face this kind of problems. Your client might think that your product is not of high quality. That is an example for cognitive bias. If you are a small company, a liability of foreigners, if you want to expand into foreign markets, sometimes you might have liability of foreign markets. Even if you want to expand into some other countries, if a South Indian company wants to expand, North Indian company, they might face liability. Some companies, clients might think that this is foreign. Even within one country, some clients might perceive that items coming from another region can be foreign for them. So that kind of challenge. Resource limitation, capital. This is a major problem in post-COVID time, resource limitation, because companies will not have resources. This is also to be managed. It's important to manage, it's important to plan how to manage your resources. So I would prefer to give you 5-minute or 10-minute time to ask questions in case if you have questions. And this is my contact details, my Facebook page, my website, Dr. Justin Paul, so, and my email. So in case if you have no time to ask questions right now, you can contact me later as well. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I'd be happy to take up your questions now.
Hello, sir. This is Mohammed Inzamam from Sadaqatullah College, Tirunelveli. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Recently, I have read an article on the commercial real estate and rent for business space post-COVID-19 impact. Because as a rent plays a vital role in business companies in case of their expense schedule, most of the business companies are now thinking more and more after COVID-19 to pay rent to their business spaces instead of making their workers to work from home basis. What's your opinion on this issue, sir?
I mean, I got some idea about your question. So, I mean, companies or many small enterprises, they face challenge to pay rent, no doubt. So this is and this is not only going to be last 3 months. They will, some of these small enterprises, including retail stores, if they are renting, leasing premises, if they don't own premises, commercial property rent is very high than accommodation property rent. So these companies, these retail stores, they're all going to face challenge. In America, JCPenney, I don't know how many of you heard about JCPenney is the number one retailer. I mean, it is number one retailer in certain segments. So JCPenney announced bankruptcy. They have closed down some of the businesses. Even banks, like I live next to a bank, you know, that bank has shut down that branch because they have gone online. They announced that clients, please do online business. We are shutting down this branch. So that means if many banks, if they have operate, let's say if they had 1,000 branches last year, so they are closing down some of their branches, and they will reduce the number of branches by 50% now, and they will ask clients, do online business, do online banking. So this is going on, and this will happen everywhere, and this is going to happen next 1 or 2 years in a big way.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Good evening, sir. My name is Ronak Kumar Agrawal. Sir, could you hear me?
Yes.
Sir, my name is Ronak Kumar Agrawal from Sri City, Cuttack, Odisha. So my question is regarding if everybody is facing challenges during and after the COVID, then the type of finance the companies and businesses could use for financing their businesses or continuing their businesses is also a challenge. And if it is a challenge, then what form of finance they should use to run their businesses continuously without affecting cash flows?
Yeah, I mean, if they have already taken loan from the bank, then they cannot take more loan from the bank. So this is a serious challenge. You know, that's why I said in the beginning itself, this is like a world war challenge. This is almost you know, I mean, suppose if there is a world war, it will have aftermath challenges. So this COVID-19 has created challenges almost equal to the challenge of a third world war. So I mean, if the company, if it's a small business can rely upon or can borrow some money from their very close friends network or relative network to survive through the recessionary time and pay them back once everything is normal. That is another way of looking at it, because they cannot source money from the bank if they have already borrowed money from the bank. They have not already borrowed money from the bank, they cannot get it. Otherwise, they can look for venture capital. So venture capital industry is strong in some countries. It is not strong everywhere. So if you have a good business model, you might get venture capital. If you don't have a good business model, you will not get venture capital. So there are two dimensions which also post-COVID has created with reference to your question. One is that entrepreneurs are in doldrums. Many people now will not prefer to become entrepreneurs for next 2 years. Entrepreneurship is in a standstill position for next 2 years. Many people would look for government job now. Demand for government job will increase. And demand for entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial, you know, small people will not venture into setting up their own companies for next 2 years. It's going to be more challenging. But if you have unique business model focused on technology, digital, then you have some opportunity, because if you can venture or diversify into technology, leveraging technology to leverage the opportunities arising out, then you have opportunity. Otherwise, traditional entrepreneurship is in doldrums, traditional entrepreneurship is in trouble. So this is another challenge.
Sir, hello, audible, sir?
Yes.
Sir, it is general question, sir.
What?
Sir.
Yes. Hello?
Sir, audible, sir?
Yes.
Hello? Sir, it is general question on Indian economy. Sir, recent Modi has announced the 20 lakh crores for package for India, sir. Sir, it is useful for a rural employment youth, sir, or for COVID-19, sir, or not useful, sir, it is. Or only for that MSME, micro, medium, small enterprise, that is like the only industrial sector. Which one is useful, sir, this package?
I have not studied this specific announcement of Modi, but so maybe some other experts can answer on this. I have not looked at that in detail, because since I don't live in India, I try to update myself into more global developments.
Yes. Sir. Hello.
Yes. Yes. Any other question?
Participants, do you have any other question?
Sir, good evening, sir. I have one question.
Yes.
Yeah, sir, any strategies for the tourism industry? Now that you have pointed out, the
Thank
tourism
you.
industry will suffer a lot.
Yes.
So any strategies that you would recommend for the tourist industry to stand up again?
I would say that of course, it's a serious threat for tourism and hospitality industries or allied industries relying upon income from tourism and hospitality. So they are the worst hit because of this, and they should try to reposition themselves to attract domestic tourists, because domestic travels, local tourists. Domestic means, I would say that local, those who can come in car, those who can come in neighbors. They should focus on neighbors. Neighbors means they should focus on people from their own state, their own neighboring towns, rather than focusing on international tourists, so that they can try to gain some businesses and survive through this recessionary time. So, because international travels are going to be problematic next 1 or 2 years, so I would expect that it will take 1 or 2 years to normalize international travel operations. After that, people will travel again internationally in a big way. But next 1 or 2 years, tourism and allied industries need to focus on local tourists or local business. It's important, and they need to have attractive measures to attract local people.
Very well said, sir. One more question. Sir, what about the construction industry? Any insights for construction business? Because they are suffering a lot. The workers that had been working, they have left for their hometowns. And again, cash crunch is there. So how do they survive in this COVID, after the COVID-19?
Yeah, so the COVID-19 has created a situation, or will create a situation, where you have to rely upon local talent available or local people available. For example, so in Kerala, many businessmen, they have to hire now people from Kerala itself. Like the same way in America, American companies will not hire many foreigners next 5 years. So American companies will hire Americans now. So this is going to be the situation everywhere. So like North Indians, those who are working in Kerala's construction industries, they will have tough time, because travels are going to be affected. So hiring people on cost basis, low cost talent, that is not going to be the norm in the post-COVID time. That is why in the beginning itself, whatever the way we did business in the pre-COVID time and post-COVID time is going to be different in many ways and many parameters. So you might have to always, or at least for next 2-3 years, local labor is important, So you cannot rely upon foreign labor, or you cannot rely upon labor from faraway states and faraway countries.
Right, sir. Sir, any skill set required for our students? I mean, our students who are seeking job. So, what do you recommend? What sort of skill sets are mandatory for them so that they can get jobs? Because as you see, the job scenario is very bleak. No more jobs are there. And if a student aspires to get job, what skill set would be
I,
required?
I would say that all students, regardless of whatever the course they are doing now, need to learn technology platforms, need to learn how to do businesses using digital channels. It is important, so they should be self-capable of doing everything on internet. Internet is going to be more and more important for next couple of years. So they should know everything about internet. They should know everything about creating an e-commerce portal, websites, and doing businesses and getting and everything about e-commerce business. They should learn. Including linking the payments and receiving payments. Its legal aspects. So technology aspects, legal aspects, and business aspects. Everything related to online businesses. They should be in a position in all courses. It has to be mandatory.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights. Thank you very much.
Hi, sir. What should be the survival strategies for the existing startup ecosystem in the country?
Startup system in the country will face problems, no doubt, and it is already we have seen. So, government need to promote them. Government need to work. Government need to find measures to help them. So, American government has already announced some kind of incentives for small enterprises, and American government has also given $1,200 to all the American citizens. So likewise, all governments need to find some different ways to, depending upon their budget and capability to do it. And with some concrete criteria, with some specific criteria, they need to support startups, because if they do not support startups, all startups will die.
Any more questions?
Yeah, so if you look at, I tell you one more example. It's like I have a friend who is a professor in IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, and her husband is an entrepreneur. Her husband has no income for the last 3 months, and both of them are very unhappy now. Because she married him because thinking that this man is a good entrepreneur, he has enough income. But COVID-19 has collapsed, or COVID-19 has resulted into his business is already ruined. So he has no income. Next 2 years, he will not have any income. So even that creates pressure on families. So this kind of challenges, different ways. Challenges are in different permutations or different ways or combinations. And so you have to understand all these mechanisms.
So shall I ask a question?
Yes.
What do you think will be the effect on the automobile sector? Because public transportation is going to be of less demand because of this pandemic. So the individual, ownership on automobile industry, will it be creating a boom in that sector?
It will create demand for automobiles. So no doubt it will create demand for automobiles. Yeah. Especially in developing countries, because in developing countries, many people did not have their own automobiles. So they were all using public transport. So it will create demand for automobiles in developing countries.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, do you have any other question?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, tell me. Yes.
Sir, I want to ask one question, that what is the post-COVID effect on luxury brands? Whether they will change their strategy or they will shut down temporarily?
Yeah, so they are facing challenge now. So I have published 7 research papers on marketing luxury brands. And I also devised a model called Masstige model and Masstige theory. Masstige stands for mass prestige. So luxury models, luxury brands operate with a equation that the price is a function of product promotion and play strategy. They focus on product, they focus on promotion, they focus on play strategy, and they charge a high price for, by focusing on other piece. So the product is high quality, the promotion, they promote their brands with celebrities and all this kind of thing, their play strategy, all the other pieces are relatively on top, and the price is high. So they need to also think about some alternative strategies to survive through this recession or post-recession time. I tell you an example. Apple has the iPhone. Apple iPhone's normal price is $1,000 plus, all models till date. But Apple has announced a new model called SE, Apple SE. Last month, Apple has announced it, and its price is $450 plus tax. So it will cost you $500. But all till date, Apple's iPhone was $1,000 or 1,000 plus. So they launched a new product. They added a product line with a $500 or $450 Apple iPhone. So this is just because many customers will not spend $1,000 to buy an iPhone, because many customers are not sure about the future, are not sure about how much money they can earn or how much money they will get. So they are not guaranteed. So they abstain from buying, paying premium price for many brands. So brand managers of Apple is a premium brand. Apple is not really luxury, but it is a premium brand. So they have launched this $450 phone. So likewise, even other luxury or premium brands might need to think about strategies. Their traditional luxury business doesn't play with the price. But considering COVID-19 aftermath, they might have to think about adding new product line with a low price edition or low price model, which is not their traditional way of doing business, but that helps them to survive through the recessionary time, and they can still keep the high-end product lines, but they might need to think about a product line for the middle class to survive through the recessionary time or survive in the next 2 years post-COVID time too. So maybe you can also, I have some articles titled Masteach Marketing. If you type Masteach Marketing or Masteach Theory or Masteach Model on Google, you will get my articles. I would suggest you to go through those articles related to Masteach. Masteach means mass prestige, how premium brands create mass prestige and sell to the maximum people.
So now it will be applicable, Masteach theory is applicable, is more relevant in post-COVID era. I think it is more relevant.
It will be relevant. It depends on companies. Of course, it will have more and more relevance because companies need to think about those kind of strategies. They have to look at whether price is important. Masteach theory is based on the equation price is a function of promotion and place. If they cannot succeed in product promotion and place, they cannot charge high price. If they succeed and because your price is a function of mass prestige, or your price is a function of masteach. And if you fail to create mass prestige, you cannot charge a high price. Though you might need to think about new product line. Or, so traditional business will not work in the post-COVID time. I mean, in at least for next 1 or 2 years, luxury or premium brands will have tough time.
Dear participants, maybe one last question.
Hello.
Participants have raised hands. One last question. Yes.
Yeah, sir, my question is in the context of food and grocery retailing in India. So on the one hand, we have a small kirana stores who are not very digitally savvy. On the other hand, we have online grocers like Big Basket or Grofers. So what do you think post-COVID-19, how will the retailing industry look like in the food and grocery sector? What player, so my question is, what player will be the dominant force in the grocery industry?
grocery industry, traditionally, we are all used to going to the grocery store or supermarket to buy. But now, at least for next 1 or 2 years, many people will prefer to buy online. Suppose, so this has implication on sellers and buyers. Buyers would expect delivery on time in case if they place an order online, and sellers will have the pressure to meet the delivery deadlines and so on. So like if I share my experience, my place, during this lockdown time, I ordered some online on a very famous supermarket, and they didn't deliver for at least for 2 weeks because they had many orders, and they delivered after 3 weeks. So that kind of delays they have to avoid in case if they have to retain customers, and they have to be on time. So sellers need to have strategies to be on time, and buyers will also think about this kind of online buying. But in order to attract the buyers to their physical retail stores, the store managers also need to devise some strategies. Suppose if the idea is to attract the retail physical store, they can probably say that we will give loyalty points for shoppers, those who come directly to the shop. In case if you order online, perhaps you will not get the loyalty points. With the loyalty points, you can get discounts and such kind of things. Loyalty card work only for offline shopping. Online shopping, loyalty card may not work. I mean, that kind of strategies can be devised by store managers, keeping their interest. But online, they have to also keep in mind that they have to cater to all types of customers, those who prefer online and those who prefer offline. Some people will prefer offline, some people will prefer online. So it is also managers' responsibility to cater to the requirements of all categories of people preferring online and offline. And because it is their job to make sure that the customers are satisfied in different ways.
There's a last question. May I ask, please?
Yes.
Yes, sir, you as already said that in the education sector, people are going to have the part-time teachers, right? So, like, do you think so that it would be able to manage? Because when we talk about when the load comes to a faculty, at times it comes out to be 30 and 40, and then you are not able to manage when the one is not available. And secondly, when we talk about when we look at the loyalty of the employee, or the when we talk about the kind of work which a regular faculty does, cannot be mapped up with the visiting or the part-time faculty.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so my observation is it's a foreseeable scenario. So whoever is already hired, whoever is already having permanent job, my statement is not applicable for them. Okay, so the new hires in most countries, the new hires, it is not only in education sector, it is going to happen in almost all sectors. Almost all the new jobs will be like that in all sectors. They will hire people with that kind of part-time contract or hourly wage basis because they are not sure about whether they can meet the monthly salary or annual salary payment when they have uncertainty. That is why employers will think about payment based on hourly basis or payment. So that is going to be there in all sectors, all the new hires. It is, so that is why in next 2 years, if you get a government job, that will be much better because, government job with proper salary. But because most of the private sectors will hire people, regardless of whether teacher or whether you are a nurse or you are a doctor or you are an engineer, doesn't matter. They will move on to that kind of system. Next 2 years, you're going to see that kind of system in all industries.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Dear participants, anyone else? I hope we can conclude the session right now. Okay. Justin sir, we are really happy to have you here. We had a very informative session. There has been overwhelming response in the chat box regarding the session. You went through the various areas of business starting from how labor-intensive jobs are getting low, effect on tourism, hospitality, marketing, even the rise of need of robots, and even our area also, how it's going to be in the teaching platform, the 7 Ps for the business plan. Everything has been really informative session, sir. We are really thankful to you. May I now call upon Assistant Professor in Department of Commerce, Marthoma College for Women, Perumbavoor, Sujo Mary Varghese, to do the honors of vote of thanks. Sujo, please.
Today, we had a very informative session on a contemporary and highly relevant topic, post-COVID-19 business environment, challenges and opportunities. We were really privileged to have Dr. Justin Paul, Professor, University of Puerto Rico, San Juan University, to handle this session. On behalf of Marthoma College for Women, Perumbavoor, and on behalf of all the participants, I express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Justin Paul, who took us to the reality of the business environment. I believe it has really benefited the participants. I'm grateful to Dr. Gigi George, Principal, Marthoma College for Women, Perumbavoor, for all her blessings. I thank Dr. Anubhrama P., IQAC Coordinator, for her kind words of motivation and continuous support towards all our endeavors. Words would not be enough to thank Ms. Avani T., convener of the webinar and Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, for her initiatives in organizing this international webinar to bring it to perfection. Thank you, Avani. This webinar would not have been possible without the continued support and of motivation from Ms. Sharon Abraham, HOD, Department of Commerce. Thank you, Sharon. I'm grateful to Mr. Jibit Sibu Sam and Ms.
Sujo, your audio is not clear. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Sujo. Thank you, Sujo. Sir, I would request all the participants to kindly unmute their video so that we can have a screenshot with our eminent resource person. Participants who are here, kindly unmute your video so that we can have a screenshot with him. We would like to have you all in the picture. Thank you all. Justin sir, we again repeat, it was a very informative session. We're really, really thankful to you for joining us. Participants, can you please unmute your videos? Thank you. You can see participants. I don't suggest unmuting your audio. Thank you. Thanks to see many participants from all over India. And thank you, sir. There are many participants from outside India as well. We are really very happy to have this webinar conclude in such a wonderful way. Am I audible? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you again, everyone. Thank you again. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now we are concluding. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your link for the e-certificates will be given in the registered email, and it will be given to you in 2 days. Thank you. Please be patient with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. May I leave now?
Yes, sir. Thank you
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate
much.
if we can
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
continue
sir.
this wonderful
Thank you.
relationship.
Have a good night.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.